Good afternoon, class. I'm going to be covering the second part of the milestone assignment, which is connecting your repository to the Pendant app. So first of all, you'll want to navigate to Pendant, which is at https://pendant.cs.ksu.edu, and go ahead and sign in. And we sign in using K-State single sign-on. So this is your regular EID and password combo. Once you're logged in, notice that we have a couple extra options along the top here. We want to go to GitHub, and this step is to hook us up with our GitHub account. We're going to link our GitHub account with our Pendant account so that we know the two go together. So when you click this link your GitHub account, it's going to go to GitHub through its OAuth 2 process and ask us to authorize Pendant to talk with GitHub. And notice that it tells us what kind of data Pendant is asking for. In this case, we're really only asking for your public data. What we're really after is just to be able to link those two accounts to say that the same user owns both those accounts. And so I'm going to go ahead and authorize this. And once I do, it takes me back to Pendant, and you can see now it tells me I have linked to my Zombie Paladin GitHub account. If you happen to have more than one GitHub account, I've had students that have created a new one every semester, which is not my recommended practice. But if you realize you hooked up to the wrong account, you can always click this button to authorize a different account and link it up instead. And then it will also give you the secret, which is we'll be using here in our next step. So the next step is you're going to go to your directory or your GitHub project that you created when you accepted your GitHub Classroom assignment, which is the milestone series of assignments. So this creates the repo for you. Yours is going to have a different name than this. This is just the one I set up for this demonstration. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a webhook. So a webhook is basically a function. You can think of it as a function that gets called when something updates, but instead of being a function, we're actually sending a GET or a POST request to a web application. So in this case, it's a way for GitHub to tell Pendant that you have just pushed some changes. And we set up this webhook by going to our settings in our repository project on GitHub. And scroll down and notice that we have in all of these options, there's one for webhooks. And we don't have any yet. And there's a webhooks guide. You can read a lot more about webhooks. They're used in continuous integration. For example, we might use a webhook to fire off a public publishing process or a testing process for our project. And when you get into more advanced uses in later classes, you might end up doing some of those. For now, we're just adding one webhook that is going to talk to the Pendant site. And this payload URL is the URL that GitHub is going to send its information about events to. And we want to send that back to Pendant. And be sure that you're using secure transport protocol, so HTTPS, pendant.cs.ksu.edu. And the route we're sending that to is GitHub/milestone webhook. So this is the one we're going to send all of our milestone stuff to. And we want to change the content type to JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. So it's a serialized form. And then we need to put in a secret. And that secret's going to come from here. So we can copy this secret and paste it in. Now you shouldn't publicly show this. I am right now, so I will regenerate my secret after this. But basically the only two things that should know that secret are your GitHub account and your Pendant account. So we're going to hook those together with that secret. And what this is actually used for is the payload that is sending that JSON object. GitHub will actually create a cryptographic signature of that. And then when we receive it in Pendant also creates a cryptographic signature, and it compares the two. And if the two are the same, that means that nobody modified, or no application or process modified that payload as it was moving across the internet, which is actually something that can happen. So we know it's not tampered with. So that's just a little bit of extra security there. We can go ahead and add that webhook. And once we've done that, We now have a webhook listed here, and of course we can go in and edit it or delete it if we don't want to trigger that webhook anymore. If we click on the webhook here, it will give us all the information about it. Notice that it doesn't display the secret anymore. If we need to update it, we have to click this change and put in a brand new secret. And it tells us it's active and everything like that. But also we have this recent deliveries tab, and if we go take a look at that, notice that it has already delivered one payload, and we have this green check mark, which means that was successful. And if we look at this, this is actually, here's the information, the headers that were sent, and there's that signature we talked about that's created with that secret. Here's the body, which is JSON, and it's a lot of information, but the big one, or the thing that we're interested in right now, is the type. So if we come up here and look at the type of event, somewhere in here, the event, oh, sorry, it's in the header. So the header tells us that this is a ping event. So it basically is establishing that, yes, we can talk to the server. And the response we got back was a 200 response. You can see here that we got from our server, and basically it's saying, it worked, it's okay. So if you have that green check mark, that means you've done everything correctly and it is working. If you don't have a green check mark, that can mean one of a couple things. That could mean that maybe you put this URL in wrong, so it needs to be https://pendant.csu.edu/github/milestone-webhook. So if it's not that, then you're sending it to the wrong spot, and that will cause obviously some problems. It could also be that your content type is not application JSON. So if either of those are the case, come back to your settings, make sure that you change this to application JSON, make sure the payload is correct, and also make sure that your secret matches the secret that we have over here. If you ever do regenerate your secret, that means you have to go into all your webhooks that you have established and change their secrets as well. And that's really all you have to do to set this up. And in the next video, we will actually go through creating a feature branch and pushing that feature branch and seeing our feedback come back.